Hello, everybody. I'm 2 minutes early, but I'm hoping I'm going to start seeing people join in. Hey, okay, so everybody's starting to join. Hello, hi. Hi. Hi, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Oh, wow, you guys have been waiting for 6 o'clock. Hi, everybody. Garabo, I'm good. How are you? Sure, the names are like popping up. I'm just going to say hello, everyone. Hi. Love from Zim. Hello. Hi. Hello, Pume. Hey, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. I am doing good, Murise. How are you doing? Hey, everybody. I hope you've all had a good Monday, wherever you are in the world. I hope you all had a good time. Oh, thank you. My earrings, they are from Gems of a Natural. They're on Instagram, so you can check them out. Women owned. They do a lot of my pieces, and it's all like very unique pieces, so I love them. I'm also looking forward to the conversation, Karabo. It's so awesome to have you all here. Well, it's been a rainy Monday, but a really, really good Monday. I think if you're a rugby fan, if you are a cricket person, then you know we've had an epic weekend in terms of South African sports and world sports. So it's actually quite exciting. So thank you so much for spending your Monday evening, early evening with us on Real Nosie's channel and Mentorship Mondays, the takeover. So super excited. So I see a lot of people have joined in and it's 6 o'clock on the dot. Thank you so much for honoring this invitation and also this appointment for Mentorship Mondays. My name is Phumeza Langa. I am your host for this evening, and I'll be taking you through some thoughts and ideas, experiences as well, on how to overcome fear and self-doubt when you're making a career pivot. And it's going to be quite an interesting conversation because I've had it in my own world in terms of career pivoting. And I thought, let me share, I think when we're talking about like which angle to go in with regards to the conversation, there were so many different subtopics, but I thought, let me touch on the fear and the self-doubt because it is scary out there when you are stepping into worlds that you think that you don't know anything about, that you're free, that, I mean, it's free, but like you're actually free to go into it because, you know, the world is your oyster. We hear it so many times, right? So let's jump into it. We love Mentorship Mondays, yes. So thank you so much for coming through. Zenkosi, look how comfortable you are. Girl, if you knew, my heart is beating at 1,000 seconds at a time. And you think since I'm in communications, I should be well and comfortable in the space of speaking, but I do get nervous. So I love the energy. Thank you so much. As I said, my name is Phumeza Langa. I will be your host this evening for Mentorship Mondays. This is episode 38. I'm not too sure in terms of the number of takeovers, but it's been a busy couple of weeks in terms of the takeover, and it's been incredible to learn from the different individuals who've come through to share their knowledge and experience and also share their insights. And hear also your questions as well. There have been some questions that have come from the conversations, and I'm always like blown away by the depth, the knowledge, the curiosity that people have to improve themselves and to learn and to grow in the different spaces. And also having people who are willing to share and offer guidance, because one would think a lot of times we experience it, right? Where people would be like, oh no, I want to speak to somebody about something, but I'm too nervous, or they look standoffish. But the thing is, you can just ask. The worst thing anybody can say is no. And even as I'm saying that to myself, I've had times when I've wanted to ask and I've been so scared. I've been terrified. But I end up just asking because also I want to grow. I know why I need to be in that space and I need to be asking those questions. And I just do it anyway. So it's about that great big leap. So with regards to our conversation today, it's the career pivot. Why this particular topic, apart from the fact that I've done some pivoting in my own career as well? It's because a few weeks ago, Sis Nozipo had a great video that she shared, right? And it was such a beautiful video because she was talking about individuals who've, sometimes come back to her and said to her, no, but I'm looking in terms of my career, what I've grown, what I've been doing, what I've graduated in. And it doesn't seem to kind of align with where my direction is going in terms of the actual reality of your career. Or they're thinking that perhaps they want to move into a different career space and they don't, because they think, well, this is what I studied. So if I look at the spec of this new job opportunity that I'm looking at and I'd like to apply for, you're thinking to yourself, but it's a mismatch. And one of the things that I really appreciate about what Sis Nozipo said was that don't look at your qualification as this is it. I'm going to stick to this, and there's no room for tweaking and adjusting and learning different things. Look at your qualification and the skills that you've learned during your qualification to obtain it, and also the years that you've done, the bit of work that you've done in the space that you're in, as tools, and add it into your toolbox and somehow navigate your journey in terms of where you want to step into for your career. Where do you want to go to? How are you going to get there? What skills and new tools do you need to learn? What knowledge do you need to acquire as you go? And who do you need to speak to? Because also the thing is, we spend these years, I studied public relations, and for a very long time I was like, headstrong, this is what I'm going to do. So how I stepped into PR was that in high school, actually, I didn't know what I wanted to study. I got to the end of grade 11 and I thought, okay, I'm hearing people, my peers in school, talk about what they want to do in terms of their careers, what do they want to study, where they're going to study. And I was a little bit stuck on, what do I want to do? How do I get there? How do I navigate that? So career guidance was really great, something that we had in the school. And I remember Mrs. Page saying to me, this is what I've seen of you. This is what I understand of you. This is what, I was doing public speaking at the time. And she said to me, you speak well. And I'm like, ugh. I get nervous, but, also there's writing as well that I enjoy doing. And she suggested public relations. And that's how I landed up in the world of communications. And I love it, challenging as it is, but I also love the fact that there's so many different areas within communications. And even I'm always surprised at the breadth of we can actually get into when it comes to communications. There's a lot to it. And as you delve deeper into it, there's more that you can do. You can find the things that you enjoy doing the most, something that you don't really enjoy, but you step into it and you give it a shot and you keep learning and growing. So as we're building our careers, we spend the time and the commitment and the resources and the energy to become subject matter experts and to grow, even with taking additional studies along the way, whether it's formal or informal. And we eventually become these subject matter experts, and we know what we're doing and we love it and we're thriving. And the rest of the world is like, oh, yay, you're doing great. But what happens when you get that moment where you're thinking, is this it? Am I enjoying this as much as I should be enjoying it? How do I now navigate? How do I grow? Is there room for growth? Is there something that I should be doing that will help me continue to grow? And then you start thinking about those things and looking at certain things. So I'm going to take you through some things that you should consider as you're stepping into the thinking processes and possible planning of career pivoting, and how to take a little bit of the fear away, because the fear is always going to be there. And that's a good thing, because it'll keep you motivated and keep you going and encouraging you to keep growing and learning and improving as you go, right? So definitely, I'm going to start with some of the factors that you need to take into account. So there's the situational and there's also the personal. So the situational is what's happening in the world around you, what is happening in the organization that you're working in, what's happening in the industry that you're in, what's happening in the world globally. Are there changes that are taking place that will somehow impact you, or are there changes that will somehow encourage you to navigate into a different space when it comes to your career? And how do you start that process off? And then there's the personal factors that you need to consider. Are you a little restless? Are you feeling a little bit restless? Are you trying to see what next you want to do, what's happening in your life? You need to also take stock of what's happening in your life on a day-to-day basis. Are you thinking of moving? Are you thinking of starting a family? Are you getting a little bit bored of what you're doing? Or you're not feeling challenged enough? Let's not say bored. You're not feeling challenged enough. And you're looking to understand what next? What more can you do? You're looking at your skills, what things you're enjoying, how you can grow, and also continue growing and understanding where the space in terms of your industry is going. So navigating all of that. So those are the different factors you need to look at: the situational as well as the personal. So, and making a list of those things. So I'm going to take you through some of the things that I'd like you to consider. If you are in a space of pivoting or thinking about it, or you've done it, please do share your comments in the comment section, pop a message in the DMs. We are monitoring that for any questions. If you have any thoughts, suggestions, and resources that people can also look at, please do feel free to share those. We are monitoring that, and we'll be able to share it too. So let's get started. Thank you so much for everybody joining in. If you just joined in, I'm Phumeza Langa, and I'm taking over today's Mentorship Mondays that at The Real Nosy hosts on a weekly basis. And we're going to be talking about how to overcome fear and self-doubt when making a career pivot. So I've got notes. I've got notes like everywhere right now. So let's jump straight into it. We are going to look at identifying what's happening in your world when you think about making the career pivot. Is it a pivot that is going to help you grow in your career? Is it a pivot that's going to help you change a redirection? Is it something that you are feeling the urge and the nudge to do? Or are you seeing something that's happening within the organization that you're in or the industry that is changing in such a way that's possibly giving you a little bit of discomfort of now what's next? How do I remain relevant? How do I position myself or reposition myself? And where do I next step into to ensure that I remain knowledgeable, an industry leader, and ensuring that, you give enough time and effort to be seen as, a valuable person who needs to stay with an organization if there's those shifts taking place. But also, it's things that, in the world, because we know there's things like topics about AI that are everywhere. AI is impacting every single industry that we're part of. I mean, I'm in communications, and every time anybody says chat GPT, and I'm just like, oh my gosh, that is a thing. And I've used it a couple of times, and I still want to be that person to write everything out. But even with chat GPT, you can edit, just don't take it and then off you go. And that's your press release, or that's your post that you're going to send out into the world. Still do your part as a communications person. That's what I found, and also my peers in the industry as well. So I've consciously pivoted twice in my world in terms of communications. And I'm going to say consciously because these two specific times when I have pivoted. The first one, when I moved from agency to corporate. And I was very intentional about it. I wanted to move into the corporate space because I felt that is the direction I want to go to. And also when I did that, it was a case of, so now that I'm moving into a corporate, which corporate do I go into? Am I sure the kind of space that I went into? And I didn't just take the first thing that came along the way. And it did take a while before I actually moved into corporate. And lo and behold, I moved into the security space. What did I know about security at the time? Apart from pressing a panic button, nothing. I knew nothing. But what helped me was that I could learn, ask questions, and coming from the space of communications, when I'm moving into an environment where it is a different industry, but in my head it was communications. It's just the tools that you use, when you use them, the depth and the level that you use them in, and also understanding the space that you're in at the time, right? And that was pivot number one. Second pivot was when I started positioning myself as a speaker, facilitator, MC, anything that was allowing me to speak. Nervous as I would do that. And I did a short stint as a host on a digital platform. And as much as it was unintentional at the time, eventually I got to a space where I could own that. And I said, this is what I want to do. I want to be really good at it. I want to learn, I want to improve. I need to understand where I can improve, where the opportunities are as well, because I'm now being intentional, and how to step into that and put my best foot forward all the time and learn as I go and encourage others to do the same. So we're going to start off with taking stock and inventory of where you are. What is happening in your career currently? What skills do you have? What's your experience and your level of expertise? And finding out how to unpack all of that. So do an audit. Do an audit of what you know and how you know it, how well you know it, and look at it carefully and be honest with yourself, and also be aware of any blind spots that you have, because what also helps you is that even when you're doing the audit, check your years of experience of when you started doing what it is that you're doing in terms of the career that you're in. Where have you grown, where the areas of improvement are, and identify those and be honest about it, and pat yourself on the back on the spaces that you've done really, really amazing in. So that's your first step, your skills audit. Then what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses? We all know our strengths, right? I hope we do. But also, how do you look at your weaknesses in such a way that you can say, okay, this is where I need to improve. How do I improve it? How do I ensure that I keep learning? How do I ensure that I grow? Who do I need to speak to in the areas that I need to improve on my weaknesses? And your weaknesses don't have to be anything huge. It could be as simple as thing of saying, what is the part about my job that I'm not really excited about? One example that I thought about was Excel. Excel is a big part of what you do in most areas of our work. And also, for me, when I stepped into communications, I was like, bye-bye Excel, bye-bye mathematics and maths and all those things. However, you don't run away from it. It's part and parcel of the process. And in any career that you step into, numbers will be there, Excel will be there. But it doesn't mean that you need to now mission into the world of Excel on your own. Find somebody who really loves Excel. They're people who thrive on it. They know how to get the shortcuts going, get the formulas, and they just know it and they live it and they breathe it and they love it. Find those people who can help you. Let them explain to you how you can use Excel in the space that you're in, how to make your life a little bit easier, and also how to improve where you need to improve. And let there be the people who train you and guide you and encourage you and grow you. And then also, what are you enjoying in your current role? What are the things that really, when you wake up in the morning, you're like, I'm going to work. I can't wait to do this. What are those things that you can list without even thinking about it? When somebody asks you, Phumeza, what do you enjoy about your work? What do you love about communications? Then you can add those things in. You can literally list them without even thinking about it. Write those things down. And then once you do that, then you've got your list, right? You've taken stock, you looked at everything, and now you're moving on to the next step. We're now looking at the opportunities and also the options that you have. We are looking at your network. We hear it all the time. Your network is your net worth. And as much as you hear it, every time you hear that, you're like, oh my gosh, but who's my network? Who's in my network? What does that mean? And over the years, what I've learned is that it's not necessarily the people that you can call up on the phone and be like, hi, and connect to them on that level. However, there are people who are there that you can call on that level, but also using the different platforms that exist that we all know, especially LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the first port of call when it comes to your network, right? Also looking at where are you working? Who are your industry peers? What are the organizations that you can be part of? Any of the membership spaces that you need to be present in and connect with, whether it's varsity, post-grad studies, your old varsity, and look at your alumni and say, where is everybody at? Who can I connect with? How do I ensure that I can keep connecting with those individuals? That exists. That is your network, right? And then mentoring, career coaching. The formal and informal. So I said formal and informal because a lot of the time we think our mentorship and career coaching has to be very, I want to say methodical, but for lack of a better expression, yes, let's say that. You find your career coach, you have your plan, and off you go. Mentorship, the same thing. You have your plan, you've identified your mentor, you've agreed upon the rules of engagement, and then off you go. Never forget that a lot of the time, informal mentorship and career coaching does take place in the conversations that you have, in the people that you meet. I will let you know, on a couple of years ago when I was before I moved into the corporate space, I was at an agency and I was enjoying the work that I was doing. But in the back of my mind, I had that, what next? What do I do next? Where do I go next? How do I want to grow? I want to stay in the communication space, but where do I go? Where do I need to grow? Where are the spaces that, I can move into? And what do I need to do and what do I need to learn to move into those spaces? And I was fortunate enough at the time, there was, I call her my informal mentor, when years before I was looking at her career and I was just like, oh my word, she's incredible. She's a marketing individual, an expert. When, her name is mentioned, it carries that, that gravitas, right? And I was following everything that she had done. There was there's a paper that she had written for her master's, and I was just like, oh my gosh, this is amazing, an interesting topic. And I'd reached out to her previously and I had wanted her to join my Twitter chat. And she had said to me, unfortunately right now, in terms of where I'm at, in terms of getting my paper sorted and work, etc., we didn't have the opportunity to have the Twitter chat. And it was okay, but we stayed connected. And unbeknownst to me, she knew who I was because of the Twitter chat. And I was just like, okay, this is interesting. And years later, when we connected, she had popped me a message and said to me, do you remember, I'm seeing what you're doing, how are you, what's happening? And I literally, my jaw was on the floor because I was like, of all the people that you meet and you speak to on a daily basis, you know who I am. And when I said to her, and I reminded her, and I was like, we met when I was asking you for a bit of time to chat to you about where I wanted to go to in terms of my career first, years ago. And I bumped into her in the reception of the agency I was working at. And I was like, hi, I'm so-and-so, and this is what I am, and this is what I do. And at the time, she thought I was calling her, I was fetching her from reception to go to another meeting. I was like, no, I know nothing about this meeting you're here for, but this is who I am, and I'd really love some time to speak to you, because I'm not too sure what I'm moving into next in my career. And literally a couple of weeks later, we met, and what was meant to be like a 45-minute to an hour coffee became like a 2-hour plus conversation and guidance and laughs and time that I was given to be able to ask the things that I wanted to ask. But what I remember the most from that first encounter with her was that she asked me and she challenged me to find what it is that I want to do and move into and make a way to do those things. Not necessarily also because the time, living in the times that we're in, you're thinking you need to study, you need to do 1,000,001 postgrads, but where else can you learn? And that's what she said to me. It's like, where else can you learn? Where else can you get the information and the time and the resources that you need to get into the space that you want to get into and make it happen? And that allowed me to be more brave. That allowed me to keep my mind agile enough to say, okay, where else can I learn the things that I need to learn? If I can't pay for it because finances, where are the free tools? Who are the people that I'm working with who can teach me the things? Who are the people that I know in my community who can help me do those things, so I can learn and I can grow in my skill set, right? So look at mentoring and career coaching that way. Also, it leads back to your network, right? So check in your network, but also understand and remember it's a two-way thing. Don't just take and take and take and take. Also, identify where you can also give back and ask, guys, if you are helping me with this particular area of my life, how can I help you? How can I connect into your network? Who do you know in your network that can assist me, right? And that's a really great way to transfer skills and knowledge. Then also skills transference. So what are the skills that could work well in different organizations, that the skills that you have now, coming back to Sis Mozipo's points about the tools that you've got currently, that's your toolbox. How can you take what you have and what you know, what you've studied, what you've grown in, what you've become an expert in, and how can you take that into a different space? Look at those things, because the question will be like, okay, so if you, Phumeza, are coming into the security space, how does that help us? So Phumeza at the time, I did my interview, guys, and I was talking about in terms of communications, when we are looking at comms in a security agency, I'm looking at a panic button, but I don't know about what happens when I press the panic button. So those are things that I learned. What happens when you press the panic button? Where does that signal go? How long does it take? How do we figure out the dispatching of the security guard, the training of the security guard? There's so many intricate things that take place between you pressing a panic button and having someone show up at your doorstep to assist you. The training of security people, it's so intense. I didn't realize until I was in that space. But it came back to the fact that as the public, as people who sign up for these different services, do we even know? And my job became a case of how do we educate the customers who every month are paying the subscription to get their security done and taken care of, whether it's in their home or their businesses, and also in the public, general public. If you are crossing the street and someone tries to harm you, but it's a security guard is there, so how do we ensure that you understand the processes of that? And we also are aware of those things, because we kind of take it for granted, right? So as a communications person, that was part of my role. That was my part of the things that I needed to do to ensure that I've got the skill set of being a communications individual, but now how do I take it into a different space, which is security, and ensuring that from an internal perspective, I'm also letting people know in the organization what the public says about their services. What's the feedback? How do we improve? How do we grow? But also internal communications was something I'm also very passionate about in terms of the organization, the people that are working in there. They're your first brand ambassadors. They're the people who are going to defend you when anybody says anything negative about you, but you've got to take them into your confidence, right? But we're derailing a little bit. Let me bring it back. So that's your skills transference. What in your skill sets, in your toolkit, are you able to transfer into a different organization? And how are you able to communicate that? So the people who are looking at your CV, they're saying, hey, okay, I see it. Let's see how this works. Let's integrate you, and you show us the marvelous things that you can do in communications, right? So that is opportunities and options. Now we're looking at start planning your pivot. You've written everything down. You've got your skills. You've got your weaknesses. You've got your strengths. You've got an idea where you want to go to, but now you need to plan it. What does that look like exactly? And where do you start? More reading, more time. You need to allow yourself the time to read and research and jot down and get questions together and find the people who can assist you, find the organizations that you can reach out to, find the courses that you would probably need to sign up to. And if it's not an immediate thing of signing up for a course, do some more reading. Is this really what you want to do? Is this really the space that you want to be in? Because we possibly have an idea of the kind of space that you want to be into, but how do you actually get into it? And the picture that in your mind that you have and how you can make it work, will it really work? For example, the times when I was an agency, and it's still a thing now, big data. The term was used so often when we came to presentations and putting together presentations for pitches and looking at research. And in my head, I was like, okay, so big data is what exactly? So it's analytics, it's data. Everything is data. In the spaces that we're in, doesn't matter the industry, and you're dealing with data. So for me, it's, okay, so how do I ensure that when it comes to data, where do I fit that in? Where do I come into the space? So where I'm at now, or no matter the industry that you're in, data, you can take certain parts of data that you need to put together your strategy, to do your research, to show the results of something, of a product launch or a service, whether there's uptake, what people feel about it, do they like it, don't they like it, what are the areas of improvement, so the next time you revisit it, you can continue. But based on understanding where your data is, but how to improve it, how to tweak it. And if you need to scrap it and start again, so be it. You've got that data that you received. So that, for me, is something that I still use in the space that I am when I look at, the data when it comes to environment, when it comes to climate, when it comes to what communications tools are necessary, what communications tools that we haven't explored. And I can use the data to convince my counterparts and say, guys, this is the information that we can use and this is how we can use it, because it actually helps us move the needle forward. So that is a part of what we do. So more reading, that's important, and understanding the space that you're in. And also, because I'm in a different environment, and you may land up in a different environment as well when you make a career pivot, you end up having to read more because you're now in a space where the conversation is different, the topics are different, the language that's used, the terminology, and you don't want to feel like a fish out of water, to use the term, for too long. You know, you need to be able to say, okay, well, I'm understanding it this way. This is what I've read. Am I understanding in the context that we're using it, right? So more reading, questions. If you're not sure of anything, ask and keep asking. Starting a project after hours, not during work hours, after hours, ideally, because you're not trying to steal company time. Starting a project. So you've got these skills, you've got this new information, and you've been doing the legwork. Start a project. Find something either within the organization that's, you know, if there's opportunity for that and you've got time also amongst your other deliverables, or reach out to your network and find out from them, is there something that they're working in that you would like to see if your new skill set that you're growing in and learning about, you can look into that and you can see if you can add value and then get your results. And also it works out to your advantage as well, because they'd be able to see what you've been able to do, and they'd be the people who'd be able to say, hey, we know someone in the space who's able to do this and they're really great at it. And there's your marketing, right? So start a project. It doesn't have to be big, it doesn't have to be flashy, but it can actually help you put the practical lessons into the theoretical lessons into a more practical space. So give it a try and see how that works. And then we are now moving into looking internally at organization. So it continues with the project. Is there some space in your organization where they are looking to start a new project that focuses on something that you're interested in, that you're looking into career pivoting in, and they're not sure where exactly to start? Raise up your hand and say, hey, this is what I'm doing. Is there an opportunity for me to do this? And see, what the parameters that you can work in also. Possibly there's resources that can help you, and you can, move the project forward and see what the results are. And even with that, it's a great way for you to kind of position yourself within the organization, because now they're looking at you on some, okay, we see you're doing this. This is interesting. And now it's something else that can be added onto your skill set, your areas of responsibility. You can grow from there. However, if you're not going to speak to the people, the powers that be within the organization, your manager, the head of department, and you're not trying to, voice it out and say, guys, this is what I'm interested in, no one's going to know. And it's important that you are able to say, this is what I'm interested in. I'd love to do this. How can I do this? And one of the things that I realize is that if you can show that what it is that you're interested in can benefit the organization and the team and can show results, the chances of them saying yes to you, especially if it's a case of studies or extra time or extra resources, then they are most likely to say yes. If you can show the connection between what it is that you want to do and how it benefits the organization, and everybody grows in the process, right? So it never hurts to ask, and also investigate if it's something that's possible. Don't just say, oh no, it's not possible, and then you leave it at that. Ask. You never know. See yourself in that role. Draw up the title. Make up the title. If you're going to make up the title, what does the title sound like? See yourself in that role. What are the areas of responsibilities? What are the deliverables? Where is this career going? Where is this role going? And stepping into that. It may take time, but once you've got that picture, and you can touch and feel it almost, because you've written it down, you see it every day, you're working towards it, and you're moving in that direction, and you're intentionally moving in that direction. Go into it. See yourself in that role. And then also, while you're doing that, look at the organizations that could possibly match with that. Look at the organizations that have room for that position. And also take it a step further. See if the values of that organization match your values. Because it's important. You want to walk into an organization, as much as you love the job and what you're doing, and everybody seems really nice, If you're not feeling it on a gut level and you're feeling like, oh my word, this is amazing, I can do this, it's going to be a bit of a difficult one, right? At some point, you're going to feel a little bit disconnected to the organization that you're in, and you don't want that. You want to really be in it. So look at the organization that you're working in. Do the values match? Moving on to implementation and the reality check. This is a bit serious. I feel like there's going to be a dun 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 that needs to come into it, but no drama. Sacrifice. It's a big one. It's a big one, right? Because it's the time, it's the energy, it's the weekends, it's the evenings, it's the saying no to gatherings sometimes with loved ones and friends, because you are working towards this goal. You're working towards something that sometimes other people may not understand. They might think, but Phumeza, you're in a role that's amazing and it's great. Why can't you just be happy with what you got? But you know in your hearts and hearts and hearts that this is the step that I want to go into. So make the sacrifices, but also make them in such a way that you're not really inconveniencing everybody else, but make it in such a way, if you possibly are able to say, okay, this is what I want to move into in terms of the direction of my career. This is what's this is what it will require of me, and this is where I need support. And they always say it when they're talking about the MBA candidates, when they look for MBA, when they start doing the MBA studies. And I've actually gone into one of the sessions at one of the business schools a couple of years ago. And I was going into another talk, but I landed up in that one. And it was so interesting when the course coordinators and the different people who were giving, you will be the I want to say lecturers, they were talking about how crucial it is that your support system is 100% behind you, because an MBA takes everything out of you, and not just out of you, out of your support network as well. And I feel like that's not necessarily only with MBAs, but if you're studying for your second degree or third qualification in whatever industry that you're in, especially if you've got a family, if you've got kids, if you've got a spouse, or if you've got family that is dependent on you, it's going to be a lot of time. So you need to be sure that they've got your back, or you can communicate and say, look, this is what I'm doing currently, and it's going to require this much time and energy. So please don't be upset if I don't make it to the birthday parties, if I don't make it to a wedding, if I don't make it to a bridal shower, or the big pivotal life events that ordinarily you'd be the first person front and center 2 days earlier. You're there peeling, chopping, all those things, and you now are no longer that person. And the people who will be with you along the journey, they will be there. They will support you. When you tell them you're graduating, they will be the most thrilled people. Yeah, they'll be the most thrilled people, because they will celebrate you, because they understand the sacrifices that it took to get you to that point. So have your support system and make sure they understand that it's going to be a huge sacrifice, but it's going to be worth it. Then also your network. We talked about it earlier. Tap into that network, because they're the individuals who will be helping you, guiding you, encouraging you, helping you when it comes to, if there's a research paper, if there's connections that they feel that you need to be making, they'll be able to help you and guide you and make the necessary introductions as well. So speak to them, be open about it, and find out from them what their thoughts are, especially if it's individuals who have been in the industry that you are looking to step into. Don't be shy to pop that message in that email, LinkedIn. Also, just don't be like hi, because we all know those awkward messages, but introduce yourself, why specifically you are reaching out to that individual in your network, and make them understand how you feel they're the person to speak to, who'll be able to help you navigate this new terrain that you're going to be in. And chances are, if they're not able to assist you right there and then, they will tell you. Or they'll be able to say, hang on a second, I see where you're going with this, but I may not be the person to speak to. However, I've got somebody in my network that I can reach out to and possibly connect you with. Also, that comes with a whole lot of responsibility, because now they're opening you up to their network. So you have to carry that with so much responsibility and show up when you say you're going to show up, and deliver when you're going to deliver. So your network, right? Then market your skills. You've got these skills, you've done the courses, you are doing incredible things in terms of the project work that you're in. Now share that online, update your LinkedIn, share the project, share the results, and also be sure to also make sure that you show the connection between the transition that you moved from what you were known for in the space that you're in and now where you are. The extra additional information and the learning that you've gotten, how has that helped you get into the space that you're in? Where further do you want to go to, and how you're going to get there? Share that, be open about it, even share the challenges and how you've overcome those, because we like to know the wins, but we also want to know the realities of how you got to that win, because those wins come at great expense, but they're so worth it once you get to it, right? Then the last 3, be patient with yourself, be patient with the process, and also be kind to yourself. Why are you being patient with yourself, right? Because it's not a wake up and it's done. It's long, it's painful, it's hard, and there will be some tears, I'm sure, and frustrations. I've had them, but I kept going. And you learn as you go, and you learn to be such a better individual in the space that you're in, because now you grow in your skill set, but you're also learning more about yourself, right? And you're also able to share more, I want to say more authentically, but even when someone asks you, hey, how did you get to this particular role? As opposed to just saying, oh, I worked really hard, which you did. You studied really hard, but you're able to share some mistakes that you made. And not just the mistakes, but the learnings that came with those mistakes. So you can help the next person hopefully avoid those mistakes as well. But also they'll be able to say, oh, okay, so this is the reality check that I needed in order before I step into this. And maybe they may decide to go in a different direction, but at least you were open enough to share that. So be patient with yourself in the process, and take it all in when you're on the journey. Take it all in and appreciate those moments. An accountability buddy. It's not just for gym, 5 a.m. gang. It's for the times when you are trying to wake up in the morning earlier than your alarm was set for ordinarily, and you need to log on, check your assignments or check on the project. There needs to be a buddy who reminds you why you are doing what you're doing. And that's the person that you take into your confidence. That's the person who will kick you up the proverbial tush if you're slacking. If you're saying, friend, let's go out, they need to be the person be like, don't you have an assignment to do? Don't you have some reading to do? And also your accountability buddy should ideally be somebody who's really, really invested and keen to see you succeed. They don't necessarily have to be the person who's going to be in the same industry as you, but somebody who loves you enough and wants to see you succeed, who will probably cry with you in the moments when you don't even know what you're crying about, but you're crying because you're tired and you're frustrated and you're like, I need to make this work. But they're the people who will ensure that you stay present. You keep going. You're going the extra mile, because they're going to remind you and say, Phumeza, remember when you said you wanted to do this? Remember you wanted to step into the space that you're in? Remember when you prayed about it, cried about it, laughed about it, when you were in another space, but now you're here? Keep going. You have to keep going. You've got to see it through. And they're the people that you need in your corner, because they will be the people who will be and screaming the loudest when you... Am I back? I think I'm back. Yay, I'm back. Apologies. The neck went weird there. The last one is remember your why. Why are you doing what you're doing? A lot of the times we don't necessarily always know what the why is, and we can't always articulate that why. I'm one of those people. But if you know your why, you're going to keep going. You're going to keep being reminded why it is that you're doing what you're doing. And you're going to keep pushing as hard as you always do. Even before this live, I was chatting to a friend of mine, and we were talking about the whys. The why do we do the things that we do? Why do we volunteer for the things that we volunteer for? I mean, I volunteered to take over Mentorship Monday, and it's because I love what Sis Nosipo is doing. And it's, for me, there's learning in what she does. She's in the communication space. I'm in the communication space. I look at what she does and I'm like, oh my gosh, this is incredible. I want to be to that caliber in my own space, in my own way. I'm encouraged by seeing what she's doing and other individuals in the communication space and what they're doing. So, but also I'm staying true to my own why and keeping that in mind as I continue to do what I do. So those are some of the things that I wanted to share with you on how to overcome your fear and self-doubt. It's not easy. It's definitely not easy, but I hope some of the things that I've covered have been able to kind of give you an idea of how to navigate it, how best to navigate it for yourself. Take what works for you, what resonates for you. Do more of your own research and get an understanding of how to step into a career pivot in the best possible way, successfully for yourself, but also allowing yourself the grace to understand that, it may not happen in the way that you want to do. Sometimes the best laid out plans can go a little awry, but there's opportunity in those if you're willing to see it, and you can land up in a much, much better position. So that's a little bit it from me. I know we've got questions, and I got sent some questions, so I'm going to go through those. Thank you so much. If you have any questions and comments, please do pop them into the comment section. We'll definitely have a look at those. And then I'm going to start going over some of the questions. We've got Amanda Nyingwa. Her question was, how can you overcome the issue of lack of knowledge in the subject matter? Research, learning, asking questions, listening to videos. When it comes to communications and public speaking, I will look at TED Talks. So especially from a subject matter perspective, but also how people do what they do and how they do it so well. And also being curious enough to understand the space that you want to be into, because as much as you say that you want to be in the space, it's not good enough to say, okay, I can get comfortable, I can step into it and wing it. Sometimes you will wing it, but you need to keep learning, you need to keep being curious. So doing your research, doing as much reading as possible, speaking to the people in the industry. There is a fellow communications person that I reached out to, and we've spoken before, even before I moved into the space that I'm in now. I marveled at her career, and when I stepped into this role, I was like, oh my gosh, I need to speak to you. This is what I've done. I've moved into this new job. It's exciting, but I'm terrified. And I've been able to reach out to her, but continuously being curious about the space that I'm in and asking questions of the people who are in the organization, because they're willing, they're so ready to share information and knowledge with you. So just ask. I hope that helps you. Wuyi Gray, how do you better explain it on your CV when changing careers? Sure. Be honest, and explain it in such a way that you cover the fact that you've learned what you needed to learn in the space that you were in at the time, and this is why you now want to change careers. But also express and show how you've made the career move and how you are navigating the new space that you're in, and ensure that people kind of can follow you. Because there will be like, okay, but how do you move from agency and now you're in a security company? Using my example, so it was a case of I'm moving into agency. I'm moving from agency to corporate because I want to be in a corporate space now. I've done my agency time, but now I want to move into a career where I can actually expand on my knowledge and skill set, but also be able to, put what I've learned over the years into a new space. And change the landscape in terms of what communication looks like in the security environment. Then you can explain it that way. I hope that helps you. Litani Witness, how to trust in yourself after making a mistake or what one perceived as a mistake. Ooh, wow. I think acknowledging that whatever mistake that it is, right? So not necessarily, I don't even want to call it a mistake. I want to call it a learning opportunity. And yes, I sound like I'm PRing it, and I probably am. But what is the learning opportunity? And I'm hoping I'm still online. Am I still online, guys? Please wave if you can still hear me, because I think my Wi-Fi did a weird thing. I think I'm still with you. Are you still there? I'm hoping. I think everybody's still with me. Okay. Okay, cool. So, making a mistake. So you've made the mistake, or you've had your redirection, and take it as it is. Don't look at it as a you have done something wrong. Don't look at it as a chance to beat down on yourself. You need to offer yourself the grace to look at what happened, learn from it, and see how you can do better, how you can be better, how you can improve, and then move forward from there. And remind yourself that, hey, I'm not my mistake. I've maybe overshot my mark, and it happens. And then how do I then move forward and ensure that I don't do it again, right? And at some point, you'll get comfortable enough to not necessarily own up to it, but just to let it be, because we're very good at making a blunder and you are beating yourself up for it. You are constantly saying, I suck, or I should have known better, I should have made better choices. And we're good at that. We're really good at that. But find ways to ensure that you don't get stuck in that narrative, because that is such a dangerous narrative to be in, and it's not healthy. It's really, really not healthy for you. So find ways to trust yourself and work on it. Read up more if you're feeling that you could have done better research at the time. Do that again. And move from that, and move from a better position of learning and understanding. And once you know better, you do better. Intrigue Snippets asked, how do you master courage? Yo, put your hand up. Put your hand up. Ask the questions. Connect with individuals. Volunteer for spaces that you wouldn't ordinarily think to be in. But volunteer your time and your services and your knowledge. And just put your hand up. I did it today with being on Mentorship Mondays, but that was so scary, but because I know the spaces that I want to be in, I know the areas of growth that I have for myself, that I've earmarked for myself, I know what I need to do to ensure that I keep going and I grow. I'm really feeling panicked about whether I have connection still. So I'm going to ask the question here. Am I still audible? I'm thinking I am, so I'm hoping I am. Wave. Comment failed to post. Oh dear. I think I'm not audible. Let's see. You guys still there? I'm hoping so. Just checking my Wi-Fi. Oh my. This is... Okay, let me try a secondary connection. Let's see if this will work. Let's see. Can you guys hear me? Okay, let's see. Oh dear. I'm just trying to see if I am connected. So I'm asking our social media. Just trying to connect with Ndu. Oh, yes, I am audible. Okay, cool. Awesome. Thank you. Thanks, Andu. I just had to quickly log on. Okay, perfect. Thank you. Okay, perfect. So that's Mastering Courage in Chic Snippets. So Mastering Courage, just ask. Ask for the opportunities to step into your courage and stop. I think I want to say stop being nervous, but that's always going to be something that's completely like normal. You're going to be nervous all the time, and but have the courage to step into the space that you want to be into, and ask for feedback. I think that's one of the things that I'm definitely going to be asking about today. And little thing that I did record myself doing this, because just to understand what it is that I can improve on, and where I can just tweak my delivery a little bit more, because that'll help me allow it to grow. And even with the growth, I want to actually step into more of these roles, and that requires me to be courageous. You'll be nervous, you'll be so scared, and half the time you'll just be like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But do it scared. Please do it scared. And one of the things that I always remind myself, and a friend of mine also actually reminds me a lot of the time about what I said to her, is that even when you're speaking, when your voice shakes, keep going. Keep going, because you've got something to say. You want to say it, you want to share. So keep doing it. And because the energy is a real thing, if people can connect with you on that level, it's not necessarily about perfection. It's about just being present and showing up, preparing and connecting with the people that you are speaking to. Our next question, I hope that helps you. Tabani Mzi, 2 questions. Wanting to leave corporate to start a business. My biggest fear is miscalculating the opportunity. The second one is, how does one perform projections for opportunity, market research, and how do you practically risk proof? First question, Tabani. I would never discourage anybody from going into the space of entrepreneurship. However, my advice to you would be doing it at the same time. Keep your corporate job, keep your 9 to 5, keep your steady income, your stable income. If you can do that, please do it. Ideally, your place that you're working at is not in a toxic environment, etc. But keep that for the stability's sake, and put money away to kind of save you for a rainy day when you step into the entrepreneurship space. But also start building your client base, depending what it is that you want to move to in terms of business. Start doing that work now whilst you keeping your 9 to 5. It's exhausting. It's hard. It's not cute, but do it from a practicality and safety perspective, especially if you have a family. Or you have responsibilities, not necessarily only family, but you have responsibilities of individuals in your family who will require assistance from you. Think of it from that perspective. And also miscalculate the opportunity, whether you do it with a full-time job or without a full-time job. There's always that risk of getting it wrong. And by wrong, I mean in a very broad sense, where maybe the time in terms of the market is not the market at that particular time. It's not perfectly timed from that side. Or there's, additional research that you need to be doing. Maybe there isn't that, the miscalculation in that sense. But do your research and understand what it is that you want to do it, how you want to do it, where you want to do it, and if there's appetite for it as well. Because as much as you have a really great idea, do your market research. There could be 5 of you doing the same thing, but doesn't necessarily stop you from doing what it is that you want to do. You could still do it, maybe in a different way, but just being aware of what it is in terms of the environment that you're in, your business that you want to be involved in, but also what's happening in the greater scheme of things in terms of the economy, in terms of the resources that are required, whether it's people, whether it's funds, whether it's minerals, or whether it's extra third parties. So that from that perspective, you need to look at it and be very, very sure about it. You may not necessarily be 100% sure about it, because it's always terrifying, but do it. And do it scared. And I wish you all the success. I hope it's a great venture. Please let us know where we can follow it if you decide to do it. But yeah, if you can do both the 9 to 5 plus your entrepreneurship journey, please do so. But also in terms of remaining in your entrepreneurship journey, but also in your 9 to 5, ensure there's no conflict of interest. You don't want to get in trouble with the powers that be at your 9 to 5, because that could put things at a screeching halt and get you into a lot of trouble. So please make sure you dot the I's and cross the T's where you need to, right? Awesome. Zanet Maticha, I think. I have just made a job change and struggling with imposter syndrome. I feel like a fraud. Zenit, we all do. I do. I really do. I really, really do. And I get that, especially when you make a job change in a different environment, in a different space. You do end up feeling like at some point they're going to be like, but Phumeza, like, use a scam. Like, are you sure you know what you're doing when it comes to communications? And I understand that fear. I've felt it. I still feel it. But what you can do for yourself is to continue learning and growing in the space that you are in. Learn as much as you can. Voice out your opinions and your thoughts and your questions. And feel and empower yourself. Get the knowledge and the expertise and the extra skills that you need for you to feel like, okay, I'm in this role, I own this role, I can show up in this role confidently. Do that for yourself. It'll be amazing. You will still feel like a little bit of imposter syndrome kick in once in a while, but it's okay. It'll help you sharpen your skill set and your knowledge. I look at it from that perspective. When I start feeling imposter syndrome, I'm like, what's that feeling about? Where do I still need to learn? Where do I still need to grow? And do that, and just do it. You are in the role because you deserve to be in that role. So trust in yourself and believe in yourself and rock it good. Last question, Crystal Ndogi. I don't have the confidence yet. I think I have something to say. Do I start by doing public speaking? Yes. Yes, please do. Start by doing public speaking. Whatever it is that you want to say, map it out for yourself. Like, I mean, even for today, I had my notes. I knew that I could, share personal anecdotes, and also kind of like sometimes go off script if I do, but map it out for yourself. And if you know what it is that you want to talk about and what you share, find the spaces that will allow you to do that. Do IG lives, do IG lives. Speak in your community, do public speaking, MC for events. As a family function, wedding, 21st, something at work, even volunteer to be an MC, volunteer to be a public speaker. If there's panels that are, looking for speakers and you really want to talk about a specific subject and you feel like you can, and you're saying that you feel like you have something to say, find the opportunities, find the platforms that will allow you to I want to say, what is the word? Fine tune what it is that you want to say and how you want to say, how you want to deliver, and be able to do it confidently. And yes, it's scary. It's super, super scary. Like, even now, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm now at 7:01 and Dumiso is going to be like, Phumeza, get off the live. But do it. Just, you'll find the individuals who look at you and marvel and want to give you more opportunities. You will learn in confidence, and you'll see that confidence spill over in other spaces that you're in terms of your work, in terms of even in meetings when you need to present something, when you want to put together a strategy, now you need to present it and deliver on it. You can do it if you just put up your hand, volunteer yourself, and practice and read and research and watch TED Talks, and just, get into spaces that allow you to learn and grow and also be able to speak. So I hope that helps you, Crystal. I don't know if there are any more questions. I can't hop into the inbox, Ndumi. So I am going to quickly go on to message. Yeah, but if there are any questions, please let me know. Ndumi, I don't know if you want me to wrap it up now, but I do hope that my bit of sharing of information and some of the tools and things to keep in mind when it comes to navigating how to move past the fear and self-doubt when it comes to career pivoting. As scary as it is, sometimes it is necessary. Sometimes it's a requirement because life happens. However, if you equip yourself with the knowledge and the skills and the tools that you need, and asking people who've probably done it or who are in the space that you are pivoting into, it never hurts to ask. There's someone who's willing to share the knowledge and the experience and the information with you. There are courses that I said that you can also do depending what you want to go into. Just do the research, do the readings, put in the time and the effort. Find your tribe and the people that you will lift you up when the days are really, really difficult and it's a struggle. But they'll be there to ensure that you stay committed, you remember your why, and you get to show the results of what it is that you've been able to do all this time, that you've made the sacrifices, because it is a sacrifice. But when you know what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it, it's well worth it. It's well worth it. So if that is nothing else that I can share, I really, really appreciate your time for joining us this evening on Mentorship Mondays. And I'm looking forward to connecting with some of you on Instagram and seeing what you're going to be getting up to. If you are making a career pivot soon, please let us know how it's going. If you're thinking about it, if you have made the career pivot, if you doing your research, or you know somebody that has done it and has done it well and they've got lessons and learnings to share, please do let us know. Drop a message in the DMs and also just comment on this. And just for everybody who was asking with regards to the live, we won't be saving it onto Instagram. However, we will be uploading it onto the Real Nosies YouTube page, so do have a look at that. There are previous Mentorship Mondays episodes that if you've missed out on, please do hop onto the YouTube channel and be inspired, be encouraged, and let us know what you think about the next topics should be. And we look forward to seeing you on Mentorship Mondays in the coming weeks. All the best to you. My name is Phumeza Langa. It has been an absolute pleasure being your takeover host today. Thank you.